Okay, again, it says find the zeros algebraically and use your calculator to graph the function. My calculator's going to be my brain, by the way, but it's probably not going to do a great job at it. We'll talk about, using an actual technology later. But right now, I'm going to say it really doesn't look bad. It looks like I can just factor out x. And what do you get over there? Well, you get x4, and that's problematic, but it's certainly less than 5. Then you get 5x, well, that would be squared plus 4. My suspicion I'll be able to factor that as well. Let's put this down, x. Then you get x squared, and you would get 1 and 4 plus plus. So I know my 4 roots. All right, the 4 roots are going to be as follows. The first root is x equals 0. The second root is when x squared plus 4 equals 0. By the way, the first root is x equals 0. X squared equals minus 4, or x would equal plus or minus the square root of 4, minus 4, which would be 2i. What's the next one going to be? When x squared plus 1 equals 0. That means x squared is equal to minus 1, which means x is equal to plus or minus the square root of minus 1, which is I. So we found our 4 roots. Well, let me put them down for you. We found 0. We found plus or minus I. And we found plus or minus 2i. How many roots have we found? We found, it's a fifth-degree polynomial, 5 roots. And those are listed right over here for you. They're also listed here. All right? And by the way, I'm going to say that, I'm not going to really look for a great graph from you, but I'm going to start to erase my work over here. I want to put a graph down. All right? So I'm kind of done with this. It's not a bad problem. And I want to put it down. And what does it look like? I want to point out it's a fifth-degree polynomial, which may be incredibly difficult to graph, but the first thing I'd recommend you do is put down the roots. There's only one real root, and what is that? It's 0. Right there. It's the only one. Then the question comes is, what does it look like to the right of that and to the left of that? There's only 2 possibilities. It's either going to be positive or it's going to be negative. And we're looking for a very crude graph. All right? If you go to the right, you take a test point like we did in the beginning of the semester, like the number 1. What would the sign of the function be? It's either going to be positive or negative. It can't be anything but that. And looking at it, it's going to be positive. So I'm going to say the thing goes straight up. All right? Let me go to the left and see what happens. If you plug in minus 1, what do you get? Well, it's more difficult. You're going to get minus 1, minus 5, minus 4. So it's negative. I'll put this over here. So I'm going to say this is not a bad, rough attempt at looking at what the picture would look like. And that's it. Now, granted, over here, I want to point out I'm using a product called Sage, and you can use any product you like, by the way, but I did solve it. It got the answers. What are the answers going to be? Plus or minus I, plus or minus 2i, and 0. And I also asked Sage to plot it. And it's going to do a better job than I've done, but you can see a graph that roughly looks like this over here. Roughly the same graph. All right? Thank you.